So your life story began in the mountains of Dagestan and Sildi, then Kiravaul, and then Makhachkala. And in all these situations, there are very interesting stories. But one of the things I heard you say is that the best results are born out of the worst conditions. What can you say about that? Philosophically, is it correct to say that comfort is kind of the enemy for champions?
It depends on the sport. For example, let's say in football, you have to have conditions. You can't really play if there is practically no field. Of course, you can play in the dirt, and it happens sometimes. You can start there, but when you are 10 or 12 years old, you already have to be at a certain level. You must have conditions. But if we look at our sport, then what is the most important thing? The coach. You also need sparring partners who will push you in the gym, as they say, right? And you need the mats. Our sport is not expensive. You just buy your wrestling shoes, singlets, shorts, a t-shirt, and if there's a mat, you wrestle, you become a champion, you fight. But when you live too well, let's say, you're never in need. For example, you were born into a wealthy family and you already have everything. Would that same wealthy father, would he force you to do such a brutal sport? A sport where you come home every day with injuries, where you come home with an exhausted body, you come home with bruises. Would he really do that? That's the question. And the kid himself, who lives a life of luxury, would he even want to do this? When we look at it statistically, the answer is no. This is where you need that hunger. You have to be in a position where you are truly in need.
And it's interesting that there's a psychological side to this as well, that you need a tough situation to create champions. But what's really interesting is how Dagestan has produced so many wrestling champions.